Hello, everybody. This is the beginning of the new Black and Healthy podcast. I am the host and the owner of Black and Healthy. Welcome to the Black and Healthy podcast, where we support majority Black-owned businesses in the upstate South Carolina. But we are broadcasting all around the world. And starting from the beginning via dialogue about health and wellness by professionals to heal ourselves. So I am super excited. But before we get into that, if you would like to sponsor the Black and Healthy podcast, make sure you email us at blackandhealthy.com. That's BLKN as in Nancy, healthy, at gmail.com. My bad. Blackandhealthy at gmail.com. And make sure you check out our website, blackandhealthy.com. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and of course, subscribe to YouTube and also to the podcast. So thank you for tuning in to the first podcast. Please bear with me. I am 100% new to this. Sometimes I might know what I'm doing, and sometimes I definitely don't know what I'm doing. But I'm super excited about our first podcast. And today we are getting into herbalism and preparing for the winter. And today's very first special guest that we have with us today is Cecelia Miller.
Thank you. Thank you.
So yeah, tell us who you are, where you're from, and what you do.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for having me as your first guest. This is exciting.
Yes.
I've never done a podcast. You've done quite well in
Thank you.
setting this up. I'm very impressed. I probably won't be able to ever do a podcast, but that's nonetheless. But I am Cecelia Miller. I like to be known as Cece, Farmer Cece. A lot of people call me Cecilia's fine, but Cece is fine as well. I'm from Spartanburg. I grew up in Spartanburg, and I own the Coffee Lady 31, which is a mobile coffee truck and an herb farm and apothecary. And we're sitting in our little apothecary right now, and it's surrounded by about a quarter acre of land that's designated to growing plants and herbs for our health and wellness.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a fun fact is that I take a class
Yay.
with Miss Cece,
Yes.
and I absolutely love it. But we can get into that later on how people can be a part of your class and get to know you in doing that work.
Absolutely.
So how did you get into your line of work, and what made you start your business?
Oh, wow. Oh, so, okay. I'm glad we have hopefully a lot of time.
We do.
Okay.
That's what this is for.
So I graduated many years ago from Commerce College with a chemistry degree, and went into lab management at the time, and eventually went into quality, and pretty much the bulk of my professional experience has been in laboratory and in quality control, quality assurance, in a manufacturing environment. So I have a lot of, I guess, some professional training as far as uh, formulating things, making recipes, things of that sort. In 2001, we had our first venture into entrepreneurship when we opened up an actual brick and mortar coffee shop in Greenville. That lasted for about a year. We closed that. And then at that time, I kind of started going into planting herbs, growing herbs. Went into education for a little bit. Then went back into manufacturing for a little while. And then eventually ended up back into coffee and herbs. And it's kind of interesting the way the marriage just of the coffee and herbs just kind of came to be. I started out, growing herbs, making products, making deodorant. Deodorant that I make, it's deodorant right here was the first product I actually made.
Mm-hmm.
Still one of our best sellers.
Yeah.
The first product we made from the herbal part. And the coffee kind of was on a hold at that time, and then somehow or another, just through some conversations with family members, we decided like, okay, why not bring the coffee portion back to life? And
Yeah.
that's when we brought the coffee truck on. And then, within the last couple of years, it's been kind of a perfect marriage because we're able to sell some of our, or promote some of our herbal syrups through the coffee truck.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of our specialty coffee drinks have a little niche in that they're made with syrups and the herbs that we grow and prepare here in our shop. So that's kind of how this has all come to play, and it's I started making things in the kitchen, and quickly outgrew the kitchen,
Mm-hmm.
and the product line just grew, and it's funny when I started into herbalism and making products and understanding the botanicals that come from the ground that benefit us. You initially just want to make everything,
Yeah.
and so initially that's what I did. I made everything from body butters, sugar scrubs, lip balms, you name it. Any idea that came to mind, I made it.
Yeah.
And then as the business started to grow, you of course start to narrow down and kind of focus on certain things that seem to go well at your hands. And so that's where we are now with plethora of things that we do, from body butters. We still do the deodorant. We have a pretty phenomenal facial line with our face wash and cream and serums and all that stuff, in addition to extracts, teas, all of those things. And the beauty of all of this is that it all comes from some plant,
Mm-hmm.
from the ground. Every one of these products in here has some portion of some plant, whether it be the plant itself, whether it be part of the plant that's been extracted out, but every product in here comes from something that comes out of the ground.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love this stuff, you guys.
Yeah.
So I guess that's one thing I do want to ask you as well is so what's your favorite thing about what you do in all of your work?
Oh, I guess the when I'm given, I guess, the inspiration, because we can't, as herbalists, we can't really take ownership
Mm-hmm.
of the things that we make because we don't make the herbs.
Right.
We're just kind of stewards over them. So I can't really take ownership. But when I'm given an inspiration for a concoction and give it to someone and it works,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, okay, this this is what it's all about,
Yeah.
to make something for someone, and it actually satisfy that need. The to make a I have a blood pressure tea that I make for myself,
Yeah.
and to when my blood pressure gets out of control, I can drink that tea, and it
Mm-hmm.
helps it come. So that's the miraculous thing of the plants and the herbals and the botanicals and all of the things that are available to us freely from the ground, that are for our health and for our wellness.
Yeah. I think on my journey, as I try to do these concoctions, if you will,
Yeah.
is like staying with it,
Yeah.
right? To even see if it works.
Yeah.
Um I have to like I'm doing that now of working on certain habits
Mm-hmm.
with natural things. Like I'm doing oil pulling right now,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Okay.
With
Okay.
coconut oil.
Okay.
And I'm doing that for 30 days straight to see like what the benefits are
Right.
just of that. Just trying to start somewhere.
Right.
Though that's not an herb, but it's something that's natural.
Right.
Versus just relying on like toothpaste all the time
Mhm.
and really just trying to see what the differences are. Now I'm
Mhm.
not just doing oil pulling, like I'm
Mhm.
actually brushing my teeth.
Yeah.
Let me put that out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But that is something that I'm working on, and then also using castor oil a
Mhm.
lot more as well.
Okay.
Just by doing like my own
Mhm.
research and just seeing like the benefits of using that and certain
Right.
things that it can help.
Right.
I'm like, okay,
Right.
let me see.
Right.
But it's just like what I've been thinking about is if I am pursuing this journey
Mhm.
as well, it's like I'm my first client, if you
Absolutely.
will.
Absolutely.
But then also too, like I would say the struggle for me is like I have older parents, of course,
Mhm.
and I want to help them.
Mhm.
But I've also learned that they pick up on doing stuff by watching me do
Right.
stuff.
Right.
So
Right.
it's like, okay, I gotta hold myself accountable on this process so then that they will see, oh,
Absolutely.
that actually works.
Absolutely.
Let me try
Absolutely.
that.
Yep.
But it's tough.
Yeah. And that's the one of the things of one of the parts of the vision of this company, and just like in the classroom,
Mhm.
is to create or to spark or to ignite
Mhm.
that herbalist that's in each and every one of us. Um, because, and I think we can see just through some of the I don't want to call them problems, but some of the uh, nuances maybe of traditional medicine that just one pattern doesn't fit all.
Right.
And so, a medicine that may help me may not help you for the same situation.
Right.
And so I think it's more beneficial as herbalists to ignite the herbalist within you
Yeah.
instead of you relying on my herbalism knowledge. And of course, we use that information to help spread and to be of benefit in our community. So
Mhm.
our first patient is ourselves.
Yeah.
And just about every product, the deodorant I mentioned creating, I created that for myself
Yeah.
because the deodorants that I had used for years and years and years, all of a sudden they weren't working anymore.
Yeah.
And so I created that deodorant for myself. Now, does this deodorant work for everybody?
Right.
Probably not, but it works for a lot of people. And that's the beauty of plant medicine is that it's not just this thing is for this thing in everybody.
Right.
You and we'll talk about some of the immune boosting herbs and immune boosting plants. There's lots of different ones, and each one will have a different effect on everyone. So we do have to. um I love that you take the little information you get from the class
Mhm.
and tweak it to your own benefit and then to the benefit of those in your community. And
Mhm.
that's the beauty of herbalism. It's just you just want to start the spark, you want to start the conversation going, and it just it blossoms, and then all of a sudden you'll have people coming to you and say, do you have something for this? I mean, you really will.
Right.
It is the
Yeah.
strangest thing, and you're like, oh, okay, and it scares you almost because you want to say, no, don't.
Right. Yeah, like I think about that. Like I think about when I get to that point,
Hmm.
I'm like, well, how is that gonna work? Like I know for me, like I'm gonna be confident in myself of like, yeah, like this works.
Yeah.
But again, as you're saying, like it may not work for this one
Right.
particular person. And it's like, okay, what is there something else I can figure out to maybe help this person?
Yeah.
If not, to adjust. And I think a part of that is a beautiful like
Hmm.
learning
Right.
process and
Right.
journey. But yeah, I do think about that.
Yeah, and the thing is, as a true herbalist, as a community herbalist, you don't have to have the answers for everything.
Mm,
And something may not work.
yeah.
If I take dandelion root and it helps kind of detox and cleanse my liver and kidneys and gets rid of a lot of
Hmm.
a waste, and it works for me, and it may take a burdock root for another person,
Yeah.
but the thing with studying herbalism is knowing what herb has what actions, and usually within that family of herbs or within that species of herbs there are several
Hmm.
that are indicated for similar similar things.
Yeah.
And just understanding and be upfront and honest. I'm upfront and honest with every person that comes through this door. And I'll say, okay, this is what works for me, or this is what has worked for this person. You can try it and
Yeah.
see how it works for you. But by all means, understand your own body. Understand what this herb does, what it's indicated to do, what's its contraindications or even its contraindications, and what other herbs within that same group or in that same family may do the same thing that may have a better result on you than it did on me. And that's the beauty with herbalism. I think is and you don't have to have all of the answers.
Right.
You just need to be able to point people in the direction of knowing this is where I can go for this answer. Okay, if this doesn't work, then let's try this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to dive into, as you're talking about like what works for you, it may work, it may not. Think about these certain things of like the controversy of people using pharmaceutical medicine versus herbal medicine, which I believe you can use both of them. But I also don't believe though when it comes to pharmaceuticals that you're supposed to use it for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to help in the time being of a certain period, but then that's it. Not until your last days.
Yeah.
Because I think about times before when we didn't have this stuff.
Right.
And you had to rely on the herbalists in your community who had these natural remedies. And I just always resort to that.
Yeah.
Again, that's not to say that I don't believe in using pharmaceuticals. It's just it to me is supposed to be a temporary usage.
Yeah. I think, and this is purely my opinion, and then some of even some of this information I've gleaned from my herbal studies. I think maybe one of the pitfalls we've had, as a people, is we've gotten to the point where pharmaceuticals is our first reaction.
Yeah.
When we get sick, when I get a headache, the first thing I do is take something for that headache. And that's for whatever reason, a lot of it has been by design, because we're in such a fast pace and we need stuff that's gonna snap us back into performance pretty quick. But I think as I said in my opinion that's been some of the issues is we use it as the first resort, our first line of defense, instead of maybe relying on when I get a headache, maybe drinking a cup of rosemary tea first, or taking a couple of drops of feverfew extract first, and then if it's prolonged, then at that point, okay, maybe I need to go see the doctor. I am a firm believer in holistic wellness, in that it all is designed, I think, to work together. I think it's just like with a lot of things that we encounter issues with, is it gets off balance. And so, and when that happens, some things don't work like they should. I just had a recent battle with some really bad sinus issues, and it typically happens this time of year. Typically I'll get a really bad sinus congestion, and I'll be congested and stopped up. Sometimes I have to lay in the bed a day or so, and it passes. This time this particular sinus battle I had lasted for about a month, and I'm still dealing with some of the drainage from it. I think in my assessment of myself, a lot of that has been some of the common things that we tend to neglect for our wellness, that made this sinus situation for me last longer than it should. I was tired. And I was very tired. I was not just tired, I was exhausted. Since the spring of this year, it's been some very exhausting moments, and it's pretty much, I would say, stripped most of my just natural immunity to fight things off.
Yep.
And so when that hit, it was almost like the last resort. And it was like, okay, this is gonna have me out for a little bit. And it did. And it took about a month to kind of recover,
Mm.
to get back to halfway performance. So we owe it to ourselves, um, just not to tax our bodies, I guess, and make our bodies perform more than they're capable of performing,
Mm-hmm.
and which tends to make us have to go to pharmaceuticals a little bit more often, have to be in emergency type situations a little bit more often. Rest is important.
Mm-hmm.
Drinking water is important. Eating right is important. Being
Mm-hmm.
outside, all those things are important for wellness, and would kind of get things in a natural balance again, if we follow those. If we kind of follow those simple things.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that because I was just talking with a friend of mine about that with sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, if I get less than 7 hours of sleep,
Mm-hmm.
I can instantly feel it.
Right. Right.
Sometimes it's in the form of like my head
Mm-hmm.
just it's bothering me as soon
Mm-hmm.
as I wake up.
Mm-hmm.
If it's 6 hours or less of sleep, I'm like shaking
Wow.
and I start to feel like stuffy
Mm-hmm.
in a sense. Like my
Mm-hmm.
eyes feel heavy, they feel a
Mm-hmm.
little itchy, my
Mm-hmm.
throat feels like
Right.
I'm about to catch like a
Right.
sore throat,
Right.
and it's all because I'm not getting enough
Right. Right.
rest.
Right. Right. It's funny. Our bodies talk to us. They
Yes.
they they t- and we ignore them. I mean,
Mhm.
I've been guilty of it myself.
Yeah.
We ignore them, but rest is, and it's kind of been the rest has been a journey, a personal journey I've been on lately,
Yeah.
to understand how important not just sleep but rest.
Yeah.
And so often we sleep but we don't
Mhm.
rest.
Correct.
And so and all of that's part of taking care of our body. All that's part of healing.
Mhm.
That rest time, that is the time where our body kind of resets.
Yeah.
Everything is kind of in a dormant mode, and natural healing takes place
Yeah.
when we rest. It gives our immune system times to build up, for any
Mhm.
viruses it may have encountered during the day.
Mhm.
Um, and so yeah, we um rest is underrated, to say the
Oh
least.
yeah.
I mean, it is probably, I would think, the first line of defense to battle any illness
Yep.
is to rest.
Yep.
Rest as long as the body says it needs it.
Yes.
Okay, and so
Yes.
often we've conditioned ourselves to just go 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 go, and I'm guilty of it. I've been guilty of it.
Mm.
But actually trying to deprogram myself from that, because I worked in manufacturing for so long.
Mhm.
That is kind of instead, you just keep going, and trying to deprogram myself. But listen to when our bodies say, "I'm tired,"
Mhm.
then listen to it
Yeah.
and just get some rest.
Exactly. And it's not non-sleeping wise, my body will be like, "Girl, lay down."
Yeah,
And stay there.
yeah,
And I've had those times where I've actually felt bad
yeah,
for laying
yeah,
there.
yeah,
But
yeah.
now I've gotten to a point because with Black and Healthy, like I actually took a break
Mhm,
from not having the fall event,
mhm.
which would have been our 2 year anniversary event. However, my body like spoke to me and
Yeah,
said,
yeah,
you need to take a
yeah.
break and you need to regather yourself because I exude a lot of energy
Right,
when I have Black and Healthy
right,
events,
right.
and also what I do as far as like my day job in the
Mhm,
community with working with
mhm,
a lot of people.
mhm.
And I easily get overstimulated.
Right,
By the time I am done, I'm like, I want
right,
to lay down.
right.
I want to stay in a closed environment
Mhm.
and just lay
Yep,
there.
yep.
For a while I was like, man, like I'm being lazy, but now it's like I completely understand why
Absolutely.
I do it,
Absolutely.
and I embrace that
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Like I'll tell the people that are close around me and stuff that I talk to on a regular basis
Mhm.
is, if you see me like laying down often, like you're calling me, you're like, you're in the bed, and I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
It truly is, because one, my brain is always going.
Right.
So this is a time where I'm
Excuse me.
actually shutting it down.
Mhm.
Two, my body is literally like, lay down.
Right.
And
Right.
I listen to it.
Right.
So for those of you that don't listen to your body and you don't know where to begin, it truly is something as simple as like
Yeah.
monitoring yourself in the moment, and like, how am I feeling? If you notice that you're being stubborn, you're like, I'm good. Be like,
Right. Right.
am,
Right.
am
Right.
I good? And if you
No.
say to
No.
yourself, if you're like quiet for a few seconds, your spirit's gonna be like,
Yeah.
no.
Absolutely.
And that's
Absolutely.
when you need to
Yeah.
listen to
Yeah.
yourself and
Yeah.
really start to get into the habit
Yeah.
of resting. Resting
Mhm.
doesn't always have to equate to sleeping. It's just
Mhm.
literally just sitting there and not doing
Right.
anything.
Right.
And if it that takes time for you to build up to that, at least just lay down and read a book,
Mhm.
listen to a podcast, this
Mhm.
podcast.
Mhm.
Or I mean, if you want to be on social media, I'm not even gonna lie, I am on social media a lot, but I learn. I'm on there for learning purposes.
Okay,
I know.
we stretching it
I'm working
here.
on it. I'm working on it. Okay, I'm gonna put myself out there.
Yeah,
Um,
but you're right. Rest and I've been absolutely have some tea. I've been on since this is my 7th year in business, so it's kind of like my sabbatical year,
yeah.
my Sabbath year, and so since July, as I said, the spring was some pretty turbulent moments in the spring, just a lot of good things and bad things, and so it just as you said, you just exude a lot of energy,
Mm-hmm.
even in good things. We'll be amazed that even when we're following purpose and we're doing the things we are purposed or called to do, life virtue is being pulled out of us,
Yeah.
and it exhausts us.
Yeah.
So in July, I believe I really felt in my spirit that okay, let's slow it down. Let's slow it down. And I've been on this journey since July, and it's been an interesting journey
Yeah.
because I'm not one to slow down.
Yeah.
I'm not one to I used to I used to brag about I can do 4 or 5 hours of sleep and be all right. I used to brag about that. And I'm learning that's nothing to brag about. In fact, that's almost kind of, that's not good. Uh, and so I've been on this journey of slowing down, of learning the rhythm of work and rest, because there is a rhythm of learning the season, embracing the seasons, and trying to orchestrate even my own life based on what nature tells us.
Yes.
We're in a we're in fall. We're getting ready to go into winter, and it's funny. I've been journaling of how and embracing fall
Mm.
right now because I'm in a fall season um for this moment. I think I'm also entering of for my life a fall season
Mm.
where wisdom starts to take place, where root development starts to take place,
Mm-hmm.
where soil nourishment starts to take place. All of that happens in the fall, and
Mm-hmm.
we tend to focus on the spring and the summer
Yep.
when there's flowers and when there's blooming and when there's flourishing and when there's fruit and when there's green and when there's activity. But
Mm-hmm.
the real nourishment, the real development, the real essence of who we are happens in the fall when everything goes dormant, when those roots are being nourished, when those earthworms are crawling around in that ground, giving all those perennials the nourishment they need,
Yeah.
giving that soil the aeration and the oxygen and the minerals and everything that it needs, so that when spring does come,
Mm-hmm.
the proper flourish can happen without total exhaustion or even total wiping it out.
Right.
What can happen and what does happen, and typically especially with gardening and farming, is when we don't replenish the soil properly in the fall, in the spring, you may get something to come up, but it may not have enough nutrients. It may be the last time that thing blooms. Who knows? It may be the last time that thing blooms. So it's important, I think, it's been important for me in this season to embrace the season of fall, to embrace this time of slowing, of this time of okay, you've run at all cylinders. I'm 58, and I did manufacturing for about 30 years, and I hear it in my spirit. You know, you've operated with all cylinders going all the time, or for a long time. Let's break it back to second gear for a little while, and just coast maybe at 55. 50, you know. Like, we don't have to do 70 miles per hour. Okay. That's kind of coast. Okay. You're gonna get there.
Right.
You're gonna get there. And nobody's giving awards after who gets there the quickest.
Right.
I mean, it's really nobody. If I leave right now and go to Walmart and I do 70 miles per hour to hurry up and get there, nobody is standing there in that parking space and saying, here's your award for breaking the speed limit and getting here quicker than anybody else. Nobody's doing that.
Right.
But if I take my time and get there, and I'm gonna exude less energy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be calmer. I'm probably gonna go in Walmart and not spend as much. Because I'm a little selling. I'm not doing like this.
Right.
So I'm at a point, and this is kind of even with my business and how a lot of answered prayers, or I'm seeing a lot of answered prayers, and it's been my personality would be like, okay, prayers are being answered, so that equates to somewhat success. So what do we do next?
Right.
What's the next thing? What's the next thing? I believe the Bible, and I go back to how God set up the world, and in 6 days He worked, and seventh day He rested. He didn't rest because He was tired, because He's God.
Right.
Okay? But He rested to sit back and enjoy what He had created. Yeah. And He said, and it is good.
Yeah. I'm on the journey right now where I'm like, there's so much stuff I have to do.
Yeah.
There's so much to be done. But I'm like, also, I will say on this journey with Black and Healthy, that it's made me very patient. I trust the process of, like, I know that this is a vision that God gave me. And everything is going to work out how it's supposed to work out.
Right.
I just got to chill out.
Yeah.
In doing so.
Yeah.
However, on the other side of that, of like, and we'll kind of start going into this is a great segue for that, is I'm like, I have to be tip top shape.
Yes.
To go through this process.
Yes.
Like, I have to make sure my health is good, because if I'm running, as you're saying, like, we're going over 70 miles per hour. Next thing you know, you're burnt out and you can't do nothing.
Right.
And so I think that's good to say, of like pacing yourself, because I too, I'm learning that, and also working on being okay with that, and trusting of like, if this is supposed to be for me, then it's gonna be for me.
Right.
And the time that I get to this is gonna be the right time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if it's not the time, it's gonna end up being the time in some
Absolutely.
way, shape, or form. I don't know how, but it's going to.
Yeah.
And so, and where I am too is like, as you're talking about, like resting, one, that's to like to even keep the foundation of our bodies like solid, to fight anything that's trying to come in and defeat like our immune systems. I personally, like, with the winter months coming, like, I
Mhm.
remember in our class that
Mhm.
you were talking about how when things are growing, it's
Mhm.
telling you something
Yeah.
that's coming.
Yeah.
And I really took that
Yeah.
to heart, and
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
let me start now."
Yeah.
So, like, one of the things that I started taking every day is actually black seed oil.
Okay.
Because it says it's good for bone health and also, like, for your immune system, and
Mhm.
I'm sure there's an array of other things,
Right.
of course,
Right.
but that was one of the things that I started taking, as well as, I've always consumed, like, fruits. Like, I
Mhm.
eat fruit
Mhm.
at least 5 times
Mhm.
a week.
Yeah.
And I drink herbal tea as well,
Mhm.
which, by the way, I love when she makes tea, y'all. What tea are we drinking today?
And I love using whatever's flourishing, and though this is the end of the growing season,
Mhm.
there is still some flourishing things out there. So I've got in here, I've got pine needles.
Mhm.
I've got a few little honeysuckle blooms that popped out when the weather kind of got a little warmer. I've
Mhm.
got a few rose petals, and I've got chrysanthemum.
Mm.
Chrysanthemum and honeysuckle both have antiviral properties.
Yes.
So they are kind of help good with helping fight viral stuff.
Yeah.
Chrysanthemums are, and they bloom now. This is their season to bloom, and it's just beautiful. The blooms are just beautiful. I think that white flower there is uh is the chrysanthemum, and it mimics no, the mums that we buy
Yes.
at the big box stores mimic this is the
Ah,
true chrysanthemum.
it's the original.
Yeah, and it has medicinal values. In fact, as I said, it has antiviral and I think immune boosting,
Yeah.
and then it's also good for your heart.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is what's in this tea, and I like to try to utilize what's growing in the season. And you mentioned that you love fruit, and
Mhm.
in this time of year, and a lot of times we'll think in the fall and winter there's nothing growing. Well, that's not necessarily true.
Right.
There are things that are growing. We just got to learn what they are.
Yeah.
And one of the things that's seasonal, uh, or we tend to have available to us in this area. I don't think they grow in this area, but available to us, right, are pomegranates.
Mhm.
And if you notice in the store, the pomegranates are starting to show up in the store,
Yeah.
and they are loaded with vitamin C.
Yeah.
And they and I bought some the other day, and I just open them up, take the little
Same.
arrows out, and just keep them in the fridge and just eat, a couple of spoonfuls a day. And that those are things that are helping boost my immune system. Pine needles. We have plenty
Yes, we do.
of pine trees, okay?
Yes,
And
we
they are
do.
loaded with vitamin C.
Yeah.
They are loaded with vitamin C. And
Hmm.
what's wrong with making a cup of pine tea? You can either do even do I use it in my cough syrup.
Mhm.
And you can do a simple pine needle cough syrup by just harvesting some needles and pouring some honey on it and just letting it, extract for a couple of weeks and using that to, yeah,
Mm.
it helps good for your sore throat, good for coughs. Yeah, yeah.
So when it comes to honey, though, we should use local honey. What's
Yeah,
your take?
you should use local honey, and a lot of your local beekeepers tend to have some of them sell out or run out.
Mhm.
But they will have honey that's available to them. They're not actually harvesting honey
Right.
now, but they often will have honey that's still available to them, and you want it local
Yeah.
or unprocessed, um, because that's going to give you all of the as much of the benefits from the honey naturally as you can get, to
Mhm.
get it where it's not processed. Unfortunately, some of the honeys that are in the stores they're sold. They have to have a long shelf life,
Right.
and so in most cases they're processed in some kind of way. And that processing, the heat in that processing, is what breaks down some of the benefits of that natural honey. But if you can find a local honey source to get your honey from, And if they got it, this time of year, if you find them and they got it, you might want to buy 4 or 5 jars, just because
Yeah.
eventually they'll deplete, or they won't have any honey until summer of
Yeah.
next year when the bees start producing. So yeah.
So I will ask, as far as local honey, so like the one local honey producer that I know, I think it's Be Well out of Easily, I
Mhm.
think.
Mhm.
Um, but that's the only one that I grew up on, like as a
Okay.
kid.
Okay.
But I didn't realize it was local.
Yeah.
I think I don't know, my parents, they just bought it, and then I
Okay.
just remember, like, over time as I got older and learning about honey and so forth, and that if you do ingest honey, especially during the cold
Mhm.
seasons, that you want to, or even spring, I guess, too,
Mhm.
is that you want
Mhm.
to ingest local
Yeah.
honey.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
was like, this is kind of cool.
Yep. Yep.
But
Yep.
yeah, and then you can also go to what, like, um, your produce
They do
stands.
the local produce stands. They tend to have honey and I've even seen it in Ingles. I'm
Yeah,
okay calling the name, but I've even seen some of the honey processed locally in like your Ingles,
yeah.
those kind of grocery stores. So yeah, if you can just look on that label and see,
Mhm.
if make sure it's not somewhere far 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 away.
Yeah, if it's somewhere far, far away, over the water, uh, no.
So yeah, yeah.
So, what else do we have for the viewers that can see or that are watching? So we have our pine needles up here. We have what else? You said this is a cough syrup
hmm
that you have up
So
here.
I have products that I make. I
Yes.
have Lung Ease, which has helped a lot of people that have battled COVID. It really is a target that has mullein and elecampane, which I grow
Mhm.
as wild cherry bark. I don't grow it, but those target the lungs, so they support your lungs. So
Mhm.
if you're having any wheezy, if your lungs need support,
Right.
the lungies will give you that support. Fire cider is I'm gonna talk about it last, okay?
Okay.
Um, then I have elderberry extract, which is pretty much a vegetable glycerin.
Mhm.
With the elderberry extracted out of it. It's the straight extract, so you're gonna get um all of the elderberry medicine,
Right.
so to speak. I had someone tell me the other day that someone told them they said they tried the elderberry and it didn't work, and so um, and when somebody says that, there's lots of questions you can ask. For one, where did you get it from?
Mhm.
Uh, how long did you take it?
Right.
Those kind of things.
What do you recommend?
Elderberry is there's a lot of scientific data that supports elderberry boosting the immune system. Elderberry is a good one. If there was a top one to go to, that would be
Mhm.
the one to do daily as a tonic to
Yeah.
help boost the immune system. You can do it in extract form, you can do it in syrup. Some people do gummies. I'm not a fan of gummies. It's just personally me. Um, and then of course you can do the elderberry tea.
Yeah.
And those are ways you can get that full dose of elderberry medicine. Of course, I have my cough syrup that has the pine needles that I mentioned. It has lemon
Mhm.
thyme, which is an antiviral, an antiseptic, antimicrobial type herb. Very good at targeting wet and dry coughs. It has marshmallow root in it as well,
Mhm.
which can help with any throat issues. So a lot of people are coming to ask, so should I get the lungies or the cough syrup? And I say, well, if you're needing support in your throat, do the cough syrup. If you're needing support in your lungs,
To the lung
do the
ease.
lungies.
Yeah.
And then the other one before I talk about fire cider, of course I got echinacea extract, and echinacea is more of so elderberry is immune boosting. Um, Echinacea is more, I think it's called an more immune stimulating, meaning it kind of jump starts. For instance,
Yeah.
when I have a sinus issue or feel a sinus, echinacea is the first thing I go because it's gonna help. It's gonna help my help my immune system to start fighting whatever's coming in. So it's not recommended to take echinacea on a long term basis, but just kind of to when you feel something coming in,
Right.
let's hit it hard with that, and it helps build up those blood cells to fight whatever virus is. And that's a beauty thing about our bodies, is they are naturally designed to fight off viruses as
Yeah.
long as we give them the support.
Yep.
As long as we give our bodies the support that it needs, it's naturally designed. Viruses and bacteria are going to come. They're going to come. We're going to breathe it in. We're going to, eat it in. They're going to come all kinds of ways. And our bodies are naturally designed to fight that off. If our systems are weak, then it's going to be harder to fight it off. And if they're not, they will fight it off a little bit better. The Flu Ease is a new one. That and I mentioned that in our herbal class. One of the things I love about herbalism is that the plants do speak to you.
Yeah.
The plants do. The ground will indicate what's coming if we listen to it. And I have an herb called bone set that I planted last year. And last year it did not bloom. This year it did, and it may be because it doesn't bloom the first year.
Yeah.
And this year it did, but it just not didn't bloom this year. But it's like I would go past that herb, and it was like waving.
Yeah.
It was like speaking. It was and so I just kept noticing it and kept just feeling a draw towards it, and I finally went and looked it up.
Yeah.
And then found out that it is one of the top ones indicated to help fight for colds and influenza. So with all of the viral things that we're fighting against now, we've got the cold, the flu, pneumonia, COVID, RSV. I think Boneset and through the creation with Louise was saying, okay, you're gonna need this help. The same thing happened with me with the lung ease because it was created right at the start of COVID, and it eventually ended up helping a lot of people fight off COVID. So the plants are our allies. Even if our bodies are at optimum, the plants are still allies for us. That when we need that additional help, we can get it. That's what it's there for. That's what it's there for. The last thing I want to talk about is fire cider.
Yes.
And I want to talk about this last because this is such a simple. It's called an oxymale. An oxymale is a combination of apple cider vinegar and honey, and it is such a simple concoction. This is my batch of fire cider waiting to be poured up and bottled up. And it's just pretty much almost the kitchen sink. So in it is garlic, ginger, peppers, onions, lemons. This one I've got elderberry in, turmeric, and then whatever other herbs you may be growing. I put in. I think I put some mullet in there. I probably put some sage, some thyme, just whatever, and you just let that sit for 4 weeks and strain it out. Mix it with honey to taste. And this is always my husband and I go to in the winter months is fire cider. Yeah, because you got all the benefits of the apple cider vinegar. You got all the benefits of the honey, and then you got all of those other herbal properties and plant properties in that. So, and we can make that ourselves. That's why it's so simple. All it takes is peppers and ginger and garlic, things that we probably already have in our kitchen, and we can make our own home remedies with.
I love that.
Yeah.
That really is the kitchen sink.
It really is. And I tell people every time, I said, my fire cider batches differ for each batch.
Yeah.
So because it's just almost kind of like, okay, what are we going to put in this batch?
Yeah.
And we just start dumping stuff in there. The basics of the fire cider is to make sure it has onions, garlic, ginger, and peppers. Those and lemon. Yeah. Those are the basics. After that, you can just almost put in there what you cloves, cinnamon,
Yeah.
all of those have antimicrobial properties. They have antiviral properties. And this is just, a way that we can. A lot of people use fire cider as salad dressing.
I believe it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's that tasty,
Mm.
and it's just it's so amazing that these things are available to us. They're right at our fingertips.
Yeah.
We can. I mentioned making honey, a cough syrup with pine and honey. We can make a cough syrup with garlic and honey, onions and honey.
Yeah.
And we can go to that 1st
Mm-hmm.
instead of going to something we may get over the counter.
Right.
Which in a lot of cases, most medicines have an extracted portion of a plant.
Yeah.
And yeah, I won't say anymore. I have to be careful.
Right. And so, yeah, when it comes to, I just love this stuff. I like, for me, when it comes to stuff like this, like with onions, like people are like, "Oh, I don't like onions," but they're so
They're
helpful.
so helpful.
They're so
I mean, they
helpful.
are full of. I mean, they are so helpful for the body.
Yeah.
So helpful.
Because there's like things like you can put onions or garlic in your socks
Hmm.
and it draws
Yep,
from your
it
feet.
does. It's funny that you mentioned that because I was reading some things on garlic,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like, how when you eat garlic, and I'm one of those, when I eat garlic, it comes out of my pores.
Yep.
And it was like, it's because garlic goes into every nook and cranny within your body.
Mm-hmm.
And it is like it's searching out, where's the problem?
Right.
There's a problem. There's a problem. So it's going. I mean, and there's tons of studies on garlic, how it lowers cholesterol,
Mm-hmm.
reduces chances of stroke, and there's lots of garlic and onions should always be in the kitchen,
Yeah.
especially in the herbalist kitchen. Garlic and onions.
So that's great to start to lead into this on what is the herbs telling us currently, as you mentioned, with winter coming ahead, and how should we prepare for that?
I think the herbs are saying we're going to have a lot of viral things that we're going to have to fight,
Yeah.
and it goes back. I'm gonna go back to what we were talking about. How so often we use pharmaceuticals as our first line of defense. The
Mm-hmm.
thing with viral infections is there's really nothing you can take for it. Like if you've got a bacterial infection, you can take an antibiotic and it goes right to that. But viruses, the way they're designed, they kind of set up on your cells and kind of act like your cells. So it's kind of hard to target them.
I call it a thief in the night.
It's a thief in the night. Viruses are hard. So coronavirus, that's a virus. The cold is a virus. The flu is a virus. So there's really, I mean, the only thing that is bacterial pneumonia that could possibly be minimized with an antibiotic. But most of these things we're dealing with are viral.
Yeah.
And so what the medicines are telling us, the plants are telling us is get your right amount of rest.
Mm-hmm.
Drink your amount of water. Eat right. Reduce your stress level.
Yeah.
And here is some help if you need. If here is more help for you.
Right.
If all of that is not enough, and that may not be, because if we're fighting all of that, then one of those, if it attacks our bodies, is gonna gain segue. So we've got the allies of the plant medicines: the elderberry, the ginger, the peppers, the pine needles, the garlic, the bone set. All of those things are our allies to help our bodies fight these viral things that we're going to all encounter them, because viruses,
Yeah.
they run rampant. So we're going to encounter um, we're going to encounter a virus.
Yeah.
Of some, it's going to come to us, and it's just a matter of how boosted our immune system is,
Right.
to fight it off.
just as you mentioned earlier with the sinus infection, like something happened to me a few months back as well. And I still don't know what it is. People as well had the same symptoms. We still don't know what it is. Based off of like the paperwork that I had read, what I was prescribed was like I think it was like a cough pearl is what it was. But that was created for bronchitis. And looking at what the description was for bronchitis, I was like, yeah, that sounds about right. What I have going on, but it was really scary. And I think that for me personally, like that woke me up to say, to consider, like based off of the talks that we had, and then thinking about just also just trying to do better with my health. And also think about my parents, because they are older people. The pandemic took my anxiety through the roof when that took place with my parents. So now it's like, okay, if I can help it, I want to do stuff now, not have to get ready, but I'm already ready.
Exactly.
Like I work out, and people are like, "You're so small. What do you work out for?" And it's like, the point of it is to maintain what I have going on, not for it to get worse. And then it's like, oh, now I have to do all this work. And then it's harder because you're like, man, this is challenging. I don't want to do this no more. And then you stop. So definitely encourage you to be proactive in your practices, whether if it's the developing habits, which I think it takes 60 days, 30 to 60 days to develop a new habit. So I would encourage you to do that. If you haven't already in this year, as winter is approaching. I think this season has been giving us a little bit of grace. Because it's been chilly. It's been warm. And now it's, I think it's going to creep back, of course, to getting cold. And then it may be really cold. And so this is a time now to take advantage of that. Just be considerate of the things that you're ingesting, of course, and all that good stuff. So the next thing is, for somebody that is considering taking on a new habit towards health and wellness, improving their health, when it comes to whether it's taking a vitamin or trying your products, how would you encourage them to start?
I would always tell people, or I shouldn't say tell, but suggest to people, and I'll put it like this: when someone comes in and says, "What do you have for this?" Okay. And I always ask questions, and instead of saying this fixes this, I'll ask, how much water are you drinking?
Let's pause there, because water, y'all, is super important. I got my water. Hold on. This is my water that I drink. I think this is 60 ounces that I drink daily. So people are like, water is nasty. What do you suggest for the people that think water is nasty?
Well, drink it, okay? If your water coming out of your tap has a little bit too much chlorine or fluorine, get a filter.
Yes.
It's funny that we talk about water, because we often drink more water in the summer than we do in the winter. But we have a greater chance of being dehydrated in the winter. Because the air is drier. the air is drier. So a lot of in fact, the congestion that I had, I'm going to say, and I took a host of things, but I'm going to say the biggest thing that I did was drinking water, because it flushes.
It does.
It flushes, and it hydrates us. Hydration is a major line of defense in our immune system, and not just hydration from on the inside, but just hydration of our skin. Our skin is our first line of defense of bacterial viruses getting in. And if our skin is properly hydrated by drinking water, by moisturizing, then we're going to have a greater chance of fighting off or whatever. So don't think because it's colder I need to drink less water. Quite the opposite is true. Now I do sweat a lot in the summertime, so I tend to want to consume more water because fluids are leaving my body. But we are in drier air, typically in the wintertime with the heats that are going on, and in our houses we're cuddling up and all this stuff, and the air is extremely dry. But drinking water, and I would also recommend doing a vaporizer, especially if you keep it pretty warm, pretty toasty in your house, but a vaporizer to add moisture to the air. Yeah. We can tell. We try to run our vaporizer at night, and we can tell when we don't, because the breathing just during sleep just seems to be a little bit more uh, more cakey. So drinking plenty of water. Making sure you eat right, eat what's in season. I like to try, and that don't always happens, but I like to try to eat what's in season. Um, this is not watermelon season in this area.
Nope.
So any watermelon you eat is not going to be from this area, and I'll just leave it at that. So we may need to look for another substitute.
Correct.
for what's in season, because I think it's going to have whatever's growing in season is going to have the nutrients that we need. Leafy greens grow during this time of year, and we kind of need those minerals and those the nutrients that come from those leafy greens during this time of year. So make sure you eat properly. Rest, and we keep going back to that. Um, Rest and our stress level. Um, there are studies that show direct correlation of stress affecting our ability to our immune system.
Yeah.
We can't get rid of stress, but we've got to learn stress management tactics, whether it's taking a walk, whether it's working out, whether it's taking some time to do something you enjoy. But we are all wound pretty tight.
Oh yeah.
We're wound pretty tight, and I think if we're all honest, if every profession is honest, that's a source of a lot of our illnesses, is that our stress level is out
the roof.
It's out the
to
roof.
The sky.
It's out the roof. It really is.
Yeah, I would add apples.
Mm-hmm.
An apple day keeps the doctor away.
Absolutely. And this is apple season.
Yes, it is.
Yes. Pears.
Yep. I make sure to eat apple a day, at least, again, 5 days out of the week. So when I'm at work, I have apple slices that I'm eating, and it's great fiber.
Yeah.
So for people that are not, we're going to go there. People who are not drinking their water and who are not eating their leafy greens, at least eat an apple to help you to flush out the toxins that are in your body. Because if you're not doing that, you literally just have waste just sitting in your body. Like that as well is the cause for just all this stuff that you got going on in your body. It's because you're not emptying your body out. You're not flushing toxins out of your body. And when it comes to water as well, because sometimes I'll tell people this, people cannot stand spring water, but spring water has minerals in it. And that's actually what's giving you nutrients versus if you're drinking water that has been through like osmosis and it's taking out the nutrients, and then they're adding salt for taste is what it says. If you look at what is Dasani, honey, I used to love me some Dasani back then, but then I realized you're putting sodium in the water. The sodium is going to make me want to drink more water. So think about that when you are in the water aisle and you're looking at water, of thinking about drinking a water that's actually putting nutrients into your body. And there's another one called, I think it's Kangen water is what it's called. That is a high-tech water.
Oh, wow.
Have you ever heard of that before? It's pretty much like it's this machine. I have a friend whose father is very like big on health and wellness. And so the water is pretty much like a hydrating water.
Okay.
It literally creates it to where it's hydrating you.
Okay.
Look it up, you guys, if you are interested in it. But you have to get like this machine and all that stuff. So I'm just waiting for them to kind of like streamline it a little bit more to where I have it. But yeah, that's what I would personally encourage. Do your research. Consider the pH level of the waters that you're drinking. If it is high in acidity, basic, and then alkaline levels as well. If you are drinking alkaline water, like I think there's some science when it comes to alkaline waters. Like some of them are not actually alkaline, or it's like too much for people. Just some people's bodies don't react well to alkaline.
I'm a minimalist, or I try to be.
Yes.
I shouldn't say I'm a minimalist. I try to be, and so we try to drink water out of our. We get it out of our fridge that has a filter on it to kind of reduce our carbon footprint of buying bottled water. But a simple thing that we all can do is buy some lime.
Ooh, talk about it.
I mean, and it is so simple. It's just cut a slice of lime and put it in your water, and you have just changed it to alkaline water. You have just added vitamin C.
Yep.
I mean, it's a no brainer. It's funny. There's some people okay so there's some people that add essential oils to their water, and an oil, add a drop of lime or a drop of lemon. And I won't get into that because that's a touchy subject. But instead of buying that expensive concentrated bottle of essential oil, just buy you a lime that's 2 for $1 or $1, and just slice it up and just put that directly into your water. And I think you're gonna get more if you just got the lime in there. Than if you get a drop of what's been extracted from the lime. You're gonna get whole process. You're gonna get that. So that's straight from simple, and that adds flavor to the water.
Because a lot of us will do lemon water, but there's been videos and stuff work on social media where people are like cleaning their meat with limes versus lemons, and so I think people have learned about the properties of lime and how it has these cleaning properties. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. So that's another thing, y'all, for y'all to consider and start incorporating when you go out or if you're at home, to get lime, as Miss Cece said, to start doing. So you can't say that we didn't give you nothing, because we definitely did. We gave you a baseline to start somewhere, which I really hope that this was helpful. The point of this is to start from the beginning, because we're now in a world where you do have access to Google, you have access to YouTube and TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all these different things. But I think there's some people just didn't grow up learning certain things. And I think with herbalism, I think it's starting to come back. People are starting to appreciate it a little bit more.
It is, and I think it's and everything is cyclical. It always comes back around, and I think we're to the point where we may have, in my opinion, we may have overused pharmaceuticals a little bit, and they may not be as effective as they once were because it's been our first line of defense. There's a place for it in that, and so I'm not knocking conventional or traditional medicine.
Correct.
It has its place, but I think and to I guess validate my support for traditional or conventional medicine. Often when I'm talking to people that have come through these doors, and I say, most of our doctors tell us what we should do.
Mm-hmm.
Mine do. They
Yeah.
say you need to lose some weight. You
Mm-hmm.
need to exercise. You need to eat right. They tell me that. Every doctor I've had has always told me that.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is we have told the doctors, well, I need something quick. I'm not going to do
Right. Oh my
that. In a
goodness.
roundabout way, we have so we can't say that it's the medical field that has done this. No, we've told them that, okay, I hear what you're saying, but I'm not going to do it. So give me something else.
Right.
And so
Yeah. Everybody, people want a quick fix.
yeah,
And it's just
yeah,
like, you have to, this is a time for you to invest in your health
yeah,
and
yeah,
yourself to be better, so you don't have to come back to this no more. So
yeah.
you don't have to have this conversation
Mhm,
anymore. You don't have to pay another doctor's bill.
mhm,
You don't have to pay for medication, hopefully. And it's
mhm.
just like you are in this marathon of life where, as I say, within Black and Healthy, is making it a
Yeah,
lifestyle
yeah.
to do those things so that you are upkeeping the maintenance of yourself, your body.
Yeah, and then when we do need the traditional medicine,
Yeah.
it's got a greater chance of being effective.
Right.
If we have built a good foundation,
Mm-hmm.
when we have to have the traditional medicine intervention, then it's got a greater chance of working like it's supposed to work if we've got the proper foundation.
I love it. Well, that's where we are on today, guys. Take what you will, what you want. Please know we are not doctors.
Mm-mm. Nope.
However, we listen to our bodies. We
Mhm.
also listen to the earth. We listen to what the earth is telling us when it comes to what's growing out of the
Mhm.
ground. Pay attention to the seasons and what's just happening around us
Mhm.
currently. So we hope that this was very helpful for you, beneficial for you. Take the time that you need to listen to this, or to watch this episode, and come back to it when you need to, or take a break. And I hope that that you start one thing, take one step for yourself. And if you would love to connect with Miss Cece further in the future, whether that's supporting her business, being a part of her herbalist class, in any way, shape, or form, please let us know how they can find you.
Yeah, so www.thecoffeelady31.com. The coffeelady31.com. Subscribe to our website. We're on Instagram, thecoffeelady31. And then on Facebook, the Coffee Lady 31. We're completing our community herbalism 1 class this month. No, next month actually. We'll do it this month and next.
December.
Yeah. So we're finishing that up. We will do community herbalism 1 next year, as well as we're adding community herbalism 2, which takes us to another level of studying herbalism and herbal actions, and how the energetics of herbs and how they go with certain body types, certain body uh, energies, I guess so to speak. So we will have next year. The plan is to have to offer 2 community herbalism classes, session 1 and then session 2.
And I can vouch that I thoroughly enjoy myself in the class. I'm learning so much, and I'm also inspired. So definitely encourage anyone that is interested in taking up herbalism. I would definitely encourage you to do so. And thank you again, Miss Cece, for being here again. This is Cecelia Miller, aka Farmer Cece, or Cece.
Yep.
And make sure that you support. Find her on all platforms. Follow her. email her, buy her goods,
Mhm.
y'all. They are good because I definitely got a bug sab. That one time I got bit by some ants.
Mhm.
And let me tell you, it helped. It helped. It helped. It helped. So without further ado, thank you again. Again, also, if you would like to sponsor the Black and Healthy podcast, make sure that you email me at blackandhealthy@gmail.com. And also make sure that you check out our website, www.blackandhealthy.com. That's BLK, N as in Nancy, healthy.com. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast, subscribe here on YouTube. If you're watching, subscribe to the email list on the website for updates, and also connect with us on Facebook and Instagram. And stay tuned for the next episode, which I'm super excited about. Again, this is all about health and wellness. And Miss Cece actually kind of touched on all the things that we're going to talk about, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. You're just going to have to come to the episodes to find out. So until next time, thank you so much, and we will see you soon.
Bye.